This is WarCry. WarCry for our children, where the street meets the sanctuary and purpose meets power. Join me, Elder M, intercessor, street evangelist, prayer warrior, advocator for justice. We stand in the gap in the streets, in the courtyards, in the schoolyards, in the church, and on the block. This ain't just prayer. It's intercession. It's advocacy. We deal with real problems. Criminal justice, social justice, gun violence, social media, catfishing, human trafficking, mental illness, education disparities. We deal with it all here on WarCry. Our community has a voice. It's called WarCry. Each week, we link arms with community leaders, educators, pastors, parents calling out injustice. This is WarCry. This is not just a podcast. It's more than a moment. This is a movement. Join us. Let's give a voice to the problem and be the solution. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep on going. WarCry. We're going to speak out for our children. Let freedom ring? No. There cannot be freedom until there's justice. WarCry, join us Mondays, 11 a.m. I'm just about to lose my mind. This is WarCry. They're trying to turn time back. But let us get out and give a voice to the problem. This is WarCry. Join us, be with us, or be gone. Don't push us. This is WarCry. Trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. We're not going under. This is WarCry. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is WarCry, where the streets meets the sanctuary, and the sanctuary meets the streets. Because this is where we give a voice to the problem that we're facing. We have another dynamic show. You know how Elder M is. Remember somebody this weekend, they lost their children. They lost. Somebody this weekend lost their child, so we must be in prayer for them. This is WarCry. This is WarCry. And we got another dynamic subject that we're going to discuss today. Now, you know what WarCry is about. It's about really urban development. It's where we in the community have a voice. That's what WarCry is about. It's where we connect people together so that we can make a difference. That's why WarCry. That's what WarCry is about. Oh, you won't see us on CBN. You won't see us on Fox unless God wants to move and say, hey, I want to go on Fox. I want to go on CBN. I want to give a voice to the real problem. We're the real problems here. The problems that they face is not the real problems. Our neighbors are facing real problems. Our school systems are facing real problems. But we do have an answer, and that answer is WarCry. So we're talking today another exciting subject. It's should we close Rikers, or how do we feel about the situation at Rikers Island, or should we be an advocate to push for more social justice in this area? Great questions. Bring the panel on. I like to see who's going to be with us today. Great. Bring them on, and as more members come on, we will bring them on as they gather. Edwin, are you on the line? Edwin, the advocate for the voice of closing down Rikers. How are you doing this morning? How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you very much. No technical difficulties.
Hey, you know what? It's been technical difficulties moving us this far for Rikers, right?
That's right.
So why would we think anything any different? We got another exciting, dynamic show. I just want my panel to introduce themselves. And once they finish, we're going to the video and then we're going to have the conversation that we need to be having because we need to support what is right for our community. Okay, starting with you, Dr. Payne.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Wesley Payne from the Omar Zion Baptist Church and Men Talk and Social Justice. And I'm here to just voice my opinion and give you my thoughts on everything that's going to go on today. And I'm a strong believer. Trust me. You will hear what I have to say. Thank you.
Whoa, that's good for me because that means we got a dynamic, charged up show. Okay, Minister Trevor.
I'm sorry. Good morning and praise the Lord, everyone. So I'm here to also, as the other pastor said, to voice my opinion about it. But not only voice my opinion, but we need to look at this socially. We need to look at how it affects families. We need to look at it how it affects the community, and we need to look at it as to what is the church doing about it. So that's my concerns, and to see how all of this can come together and mesh together so we can have the best outcome for the situation.
And I'm glad you brought that up because the church must have a voice in this. The church has always been on the front line of civil justice, and we need to have a voice. So we've got to be upfront with this. Okay, continuing on. Introduce yourself, Ed.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Edwin Santana. I am the community organizer for Freedom Agenda.
And we're going to put you on the spot today. You don't mind that, right?
No,
You've been on the spot many times. I think you can handle the spotlight good. Okay. Okay. Next gentleman, introduce yourself.
Should I come on? Hi, my name is Sarita Daftery. I'm co-director at Freedom Agenda. Work there with Edwin on the campaign to close Rikers, and was very glad to get to speak with you the other week, Elder, and I look forward to joining this conversation.
And you know why the conversation is with us? Because it needs to be a part of our local communities. Yes. See, you don't get the numbers, you get some that's interested, but we want to get everybody. So this video is going to go to the local churches because we need the churches to have a voice in what's actually happening in our community. We've been silent for so long, and a lot of that silence comes because we just don't know. Okay. Now, we're going to go to the first video right now, and we're going to just relax and look at it. First video.
Close, you say Rikers, close! Rikers, close!
Rikers is a humanitarian and a fiscal crisis.
Rikers Island is a stain on our city's conscience.
The jails on Rikers Island have failed our city. They are decrepit, they are dangerous, and they are ridiculously expensive, costing taxpayers like you and I over $400,000 a year for one person to be incarcerated.
We have individuals that are spending over a year detained and incarcerated, waiting for court date months on end.
Being released with $40 to my name not only induced a recidivist thought, but made me wonder, how am I supposed to contribute to society if society is making it harder to belong?
It's time we move beyond the model of punishment and toward a new model rooted in healing, dignity, and equity.
Rikers cannot be fixed. Rikers cannot be reformed. The only solution for Rikers is closure.
Wow. Rikers cannot be fixed and Rikers cannot be reformed. I love that video. I have a question. My question is this. Can New York City truly have a jail system that is really accommodating to those people in there? Now, let me just go back and reframe that. By moving Rikers from one location to another location, does that really fix the problem? That's my question to you guys today. Does that really fix the problem, or are we putting a bandage on something that's going to bleed again? Okay, Edwin, let's go with it.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That beautiful question. I invite that question. Thank you very much for that. So yes, I think that in a state like New York City, right? New York State, I think we do have capacity to change, right? We are a progressive state and we need to continue being that way. And this is something that's historic, right? This is something that has never been happened before. So we're going from 14 buildings, right? 14 buildings to 4 buildings, right? And these jails, let me answer your question about if these jails are going to be done right, and I'm going to tell you, yes, they are going to be done right. These jails are all going to have capacity to have the services and the humanitarianism that Rikers doesn't have. Right. We've spent so long trying to throw money at Rikers, and it doesn't work. I've been alive for 49 years and every single mayor has thrown money at Rikers and it doesn't work. So it's time to do something new. I know it's scary. I know it's change is always something that has people, worried about it, especially with public safety. But this is something that's going to actually going to help out the community and not destroy it.
Okay, now let's go back. Now, I understand when something is new, it's all glamour. I understand that. But if you put the same bad fruit into a new bottle, you still got bad fruit, but it's just in a new bottle. So what are we going to do actually to change the environment, the mentality? I mean, we're going to talk about community jails, but this is something that has been on me. If we take the same people and put them in a new building, we can get the same results.
Right. Well, see, I tell people all the time when it comes to that, right? So this is, first of all, let me just tell you about the campaign a little bit, right? So this campaign is a coalition of survivors and Rikers like myself, and over 200 organizations working to erase the stain on New York City, right? So by closing Rikers, it doesn't just mean closing the buildings and moving people somewhere else. It doesn't just mean that, right? But for us, it means reducing incarceration, defending the rights of people in New York City jails, and shrinking the Department of Corrections budget to invest.
Okay, Ed, I got to come in for a minute. Ed.
Yeah, sure.
You said it means reducing the amount of people in Rikers. And I see we have someone else that just joined us on the podcast. How are you going to reduce it if you're not going to look at the reform the criminal justice system? How are we going to do that?
Right. So we are looking at reform issues, right? Our members and all the members that's with the coalition of the Close Rikers Coalition, we have invested in trying to change laws and change and introduce new bills that's going to help with services, that's going to help do all these things that Rikers does not do. So we are planning there, but you have to understand this too. Even though all these issues are correlated or intersectional, we only have capacity to focus on certain things, right? So like Freedom Agenda, what we focus on city and jail issues, right? We focus on decarcerating New York City. So I know there's a lot of issues dealing with state prisons, right? But we just don't have the capacity to service that right now. But so we focus on trying to impact what's happening in our community right now, right? And what's the worst thing about it is that Rikers is still here. Rikers been here since 1933, and it has never worked. It doesn't only harm individuals who cannot afford bail and who are sitting there languishing because they cannot pay bail, but it also harms the people that's involved. So I understand. So don't think that by moving individuals into the boroughs that they're accused of the crime in, right? So if you get accused of a crime in Brooklyn, you're going to the Brooklyn house, Queens house. We always had these jails, right? In these boroughs, always had these jails for the longest. The jails were shut down because of the same issues that Rikers faced. So we're not revamping these buildings, but we're making sure that these are a reflection of what we want that Rikers is not doing when it comes to service providers, when it comes to religious individuals and their faith and things of that nature. Just things that's going to help move the system along. So that's my answer to you.
Okay, now we're gonna give you a minute to do the presentation, but I just wanted, see, I like to jump right into things. This is WarCry, and we jump right in. So we want to go to our group, our pack. You see
Yes.
what I like? I want to get to the heart of the matter, because this is not a conversation that's just for Elder M. This is a conversation that we need to have on the streets. Okay, do we have any questions for the panel? Come on, jump right in. Any questions? We got a couple minutes. Any questions?
Well, I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
The location. Where do you plan on putting these different places if you put them in the different boroughs? You know, because now that's the thing. You got the neighborhood and everything, and people are worried about their neighbor. I don't want it in my neighborhood. I don't want it in my neighborhood. Location. That's number one. And how can you get the church involved so that we can do mental illness and different things like that? The church can help out a lot if you let them. But the thing is, we want to know some of these different things. We don't want things thrown upon us, like all of a sudden, like we turn our head and bingo, you got this is happening right now. And that's not fair to us, you know.
Right. So this plan has been approved since 2019. The plan to close Rikers Island has been approved since 2019. So we have to remember that, right? So these jails are going to be in the same jail. These jails are basically going to be in the same site as they were before. So the Brooklyn house has already been torn down and is as well as the Manhattan Tombs, as well as the Brooklyn house. The only difference is that the Brooklyn house is going to be 15 minutes away between Mount Haven and 161st, so around that area, because the area that the jail was in at one time, that area has already been condemned and built. It's a marketplace there. So you have you have the movie theater there, Popeyes. There's a lot of stuff there. So we didn't. The plan is not going to mess with that site, but it's always going to bring the Bronx jail further down by Mount Haven. So to answer your questions, there's never been these sites of these jails, right, have always been spaces where they were in the community, right, and there's no real data saying that none of these jails are bad for the community, right? So let me put it that way. That's number one. But this is something different. We're not just putting jails back into the community, or we're not just putting, we revamping these jails. We're not just doing that. What we're doing is we're trying to make everything. We're trying to overhaul the system. So all the service providers, all the chaplains and the imams and everybody that you can think of that are from religious faith, we have them in our coalition, and they're willing to be a part of these new jails to make sure that individuals who do come through those jails doors will leave with some type of services, instead of being like Rikers. You go in and you come back out and nothing's being done. So that's my answer to you. And I know we have this great presentation that I want to present to you. And we're going to go to that. Well, matter of fact, we're going to go to your presentation. It may answer our questions, but it may not, because we're coming back at you. Absolutely. This is a very aggressive panel here. We're coming at you. So let's go to the presentation and you tell us.
Well, listen, before they do that, I have one last thing that I want to just point out. I came in late because I couldn't figure out how to get on. I'm old dude, okay, OG. But we have a lot of different things that are behind the scenes that you may be talking about, maybe not. But who is Rikers Island going to be for? Is it going to be for the 1%ers that are going to want to build it up? Or is it going to be for the airport? Or what's happening? What's the real reason why they're really moving, instead of really having everything that everybody is saying here come into Rikers Island and do that kind of work? Right. Because there's a lot going on here, and the issue of pleas as versus trials, and that extends the people in the boroughs if you put them in there, as well as in Rikers Island. That's what needs to be revamped and done, not putting everybody back in the communities. That's what I want you to think about as you go forward.
Okay, now we're gonna go to that, but let's go to the presentation. But corner that, write that down, because we'll come back to it.
Absolutely, thanks. So, like I said earlier, like the overview of the campaign is basically we're survivors of Rikers. So, this is going to probably answer your question. What I'm saying is a little bit of your question. So, this coalition is built up not just individuals and supporters like yourselves who are worried about the community, right? But it's also developed by individuals like myself who experienced Rikers. I am a survivor of Rikers Island. I am a survivor of the prison system, right? So I know there's a lot of individuals that are members that are in the same boat. You could go to the next slide, please. So why close Rikers, right? And this is going to, like I said, it's going to answer your question a little bit. So why close Rikers? So first of all, there's been a 7 neighborhood study, right? Eddie Ellis, one of our freedom fighters who since have passed away, has dedicated himself to develop this this study that came out in the 70s. And some of these neighborhoods are the same neighborhoods that's being affected today by mass incarceration. I'm talking about the South Bronx. I'm talking about Southeast Queens. I'm talking about Far Rockaway. I'm talking about South Bronx, Manhattan, Harlem. These are the areas that have been frequently harmed by mass incarceration throughout the years, right? So this is something that we need to continue to focus on, because to this day in 2025, it still occurs. You can go to the next slide, please. So Rikers is undermining both human rights and public safety, right? And I understand it's hard to understand that, but we are told that the legal system is supposed to be fair and operate on the presumption of innocence, right? So if that's true, and we also told that incarceration is supposed to be for rehabilitation, and that it's supposed to keep us safe, right? But instead it's doing all the opposite of that, right? We are told that the criminal legal system is going to do this, or the criminal legal system is doing that, but it's not. Rikers is doing the total opposite of what we believe it's supposed to be good for our community. So people are receiving death sentences before trial. And you always have to remember that Rikers Island is a jail, not a prison. It's a jail where people who are accused of crimes, no matter how heinous or how small is the crime that they're accused of, and cannot pay bail, right? They cannot pay bail to come out and fight their case properly. So they have to stay there. So people who are there, there's 85% of people who are on Rikers Island are there pre-trial, just waiting for trial. Right. So 32 people, while you waiting for trial, while you waiting for for your day in court to prove that you're either innocent or if you're guilty, we want people if you're guilty, we want you to account for that. Get your time, go upstate, do what you got to do to come back home. Right. But 32 people have died since Mayor Adams had took office. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, but, it doesn't take anybody to really realize that nobody in anybody's custody should die of whatever reason, right? And we're going to move on and go to the next slide. So here's a little, well, you got the wrong slide. I apologize for this. I wanted you to get a different updated version of the presentation, but that's fine. I just we could go back to that slide real quick, and I'll just let you know. So from we usually have some stats from all over the boroughs, like in 2021, New York spent $300 million to send people to Rikers Island from the South Bronx. We have people from the North Bronx. $225 million was spent to send people to Rikers in the North Bronx, and then so on and so on. This particular slide shows you the impact on Southeast Queens and the Rockaways, right? So you have jail admissions in 2021. You had 1,161 residents of Southeast Queens and Rockaways go to Rikers Island, and the cost was $207 million. And now let's be clear that these are Black and brown bodies from this particular area, from all these areas, and specifically from South Queens, because that's where I was born and raised at myself. We can move on to the next slide. So this is a very important slide right here, because this is the meat and potatoes, as well as the rest of the slides that's going to bring forth your knowledge of what's happening with the borough-based plan. So the good news is that because of our organizing, and I mentioned this earlier, but our organizing consists of not only individuals like yourselves from faith that are faith leaders, right? But we also have service providers, we have mental health providers, we have formerly incarcerated individuals, people who used to work in these spaces, and we all organized and presented this to the city, and the city agreed to close Rikers Island in 2019. So the date, so Rikers has an expiration date is 2027, and you may have a lot of questions when it comes to that date, and we'll definitely make sure that we get to those answers to you. But for more than 8 years ago, a youth coalition of formerly incarcerated individuals, impacted family, faith leaders, providers, grassroots organizations, and legal advocates came together to do that, to make sure that this plan moves forward. I'm sorry, I kind of lost my place here. All right. So in response, the city approved the plan to close Rikers, and this is where we are. So the approved to close Rikers in 2019 says this: we're going to decarcerate the city, right? We're going to shrink the New York City jail capacity to less than 3,500 people, and invest in alternatives. So when I was saying earlier about how we're going to change history, this is history, is because of the fact that when we do right now, as we stand, the jail system in Rikers the capacity has went down considerably less than what it was when I was a child, right? So not only trying to invest in alternatives, we're also trying to close all the 10 jails and the boat, which the boat was already had closed by 2027. Also, how do we defend? We're going to continue and to defend the human rights of people in jails, right? And how do we do that? By replacing the outdated jails, which are the jails that's already in the system, that's already in our communities, and we change them, right? We bring in new facilities designed to have human beings in mind. Later on in the presentation, you're going to hear from my co-director Sarita, and she's going to kind of break down on what's happening with the borough jails, how they're looking, and how they're going to be run differently from what Rikers is doing right now. So the last part would be divest and redistribute. And this is where we need all of our community members to pitch in at, right? Whether you either trying to work at these facilities to make the things better, or you're trying to at least support what we're doing to make these places better. So $265 million in new funds for community resources are going to be available, right? So I would rather the city invest that money into CUNY. I would rather see the community, the city invest that money into the public library. I would rather see this go anywhere else but Rikers Island, because like I said earlier, I'm 49 years old, and when I've been through a lot of mayors in my life, and every single mayor tried to just throw money at Rikers Island and fix it, and it has not worked. It has not worked for the individuals who are coming home, who continue needing services. And it doesn't work for the individuals who work there, who have to live with the same violence and the same culture as the people who are living there. So the city has established a commission on community reinvestment and the closure of Rikers. And there's a guide this is in part to guide investment of up to $1.8 billion per year that can be saved from Rikers Island. So that's very important to remember when we're thinking about investing, when we're thinking about public safety, when we're thinking about how these jails are going to function within our communities, right? We want these jails to not just come here. So there's a lot of talk about people who think like the jails are going to come in and make the community worse. It's not, right? These jails are always, they're going to continue being heavily surveilled, right? And if you go back into the history of the borough jails, there's never have been any type of crazy public safety hazard when it comes to the borough jail. So I just want to make that clear. And we can go on to the next slide. Cool. So I want to make sure that we give you a nice perspective on what the current Rikers population looks like, right? And that's 64,000 people, right? 64,000 people. And then, like I said, this number has shrunk considerably since I was a kid, because of advocates like myself and people like yourself who are very concerned about the community. One of the things I want to point out here, right, is that people who have been sentenced there are about 1,000 people on Rikers right now who have been sentenced. Listen to me. So 1,000 people, 1,000 plus actually, people who have been sentenced already. They're just waiting to go upstate to account for the actions for whatever it is, right? For whatever it is that they're there. But they have not been transferred upstate because the state prisons right now stopped and then slowly restarted the admissions during the wildcat strike this winter. So that has affected the plan to close Rikers immensely, right? So also New York City has made progress to reduce the over reliance on incarceration, and I applaud that. But the even though the jail population is down from 20,000 people in the 90s, but we have a lot more work to do to invest in prevention, diversion, and especially address race issues and class biasness in this system. So other facts that we need to consider as well, and I want to point out this one fact that's right there. It says people in custody with diagnosed serious mental health issues, and this is something that my elder had mentioned earlier and as a concern, right? This has nothing to do with the plan to close Rikers. This has everything to do with who's in charge, and who's in charge right now is Mayor Adams, right? And he wants to say that he's the right person to address all the mental health issues here in the city, but he has not been doing that, especially when it comes to our most vulnerable inside Rikers Island. So right now, it's people in custody with diagnosis of serious mental illness has been up 44% since Mayor Adams took place, and let's look at that for a little bit, right? If you Google Rikers Island right now, it's going to say Rikers Island is a jail, but it's also going to say it's a mental health institution, and it's not, and it shouldn't be. It should never be. It should never be. It should never be a mental health institution because it's not equipped to do that. Yeah, it's not equipped to do that, and I want to make sure that people understand that it's not a mental health institution. It's something that this administration has been trying to push when it comes to like avoiding mental health issues in this city, in this country as well. So I wanted to stop there, and I want to make sure that I give room for my co-director, Sarita Dafferty, to break down some more information about these jails in the boroughs.
Thanks, Edwin. I'll pick up from here and try to move pretty quickly, just be pretty focused so we have time for more questions. But we can go to the next slide. So as Edwin mentioned earlier, the sites for the borough jails were selected and approved in 2019, and they're in progress. They are in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. It is replacing a jail that was already next to the courthouse for many, many years, but jails that were in really bad condition, which weren't suitable really for housing human beings, and are being replaced with facilities, to reiterate what Evan already said too, that are designed with human beings in mind and the well-being of people that would be living in these facilities for whatever period of time. So it's good news that those buildings are moving forward, but they are moving forward too slowly because the deadline to close Rikers is August 31st, 2027, but the projected completion dates that the city has given for the borough jails don't line up with those dates. So we are urging the city to move quickly because this is a human rights crisis. We've had, unfortunately, I have to give a little bit of an edit to what Edwin added earlier, that it's now up to more than 40 people that have died in Rikers since Mayor Adams has been in office, and many before that. We can move on to the next slide. So I mentioned that these facilities are in the middle of being designed. So the city's using a design build approach where they are finalizing design while they're also initiating some of the early stages of construction. But it does mean that we all still have a really important opportunity to influence the design. The city will be holding design meetings for the Queens and Manhattan buildings in later this month. There will be a final meeting for the Bronx design also sometime this fall. In Brooklyn, they've already finalized the design and the construction is fully underway. But some of the aspects of the design that are, I would say, most different or most critical in the way that it's different from what exists on Rikers is direct access to medical care. So instead of people having to be transported way across Rikers Island to their medical appointments and often missing their medical appointments, there will be a clinic space for each housing cluster. So that's about 3 housing units will form a cluster. There'll be a clinic space in each of those. For the therapeutic housing units, there'll be a clinic space right within the housing unit, and program space as well. So on every housing unit, a dedicated classroom very different than what exists on Rikers. If you go onto Rikers now and you want to run a program in a housing unit, you're just in the day room next to people that are watching TV, playing cards, doing their laundry, like everything else. It is not an appropriate space for people to be able to get the programs that people should have access to when they're incarcerated. So to kind of touch on our discussion earlier, moving the buildings by itself is not sufficient to accomplish what we want to with closing Rikers, but it is moving off of Rikers and having better buildings is a necessary piece of it. And we want that design to be one that facilitates what we want going forward. So more access to programs, better access to medical care. So that's our focus in how this design is going to be shaped. And we can go to the next slide. So I'm really excited that the gentleman asked about, what's going to happen on Rikers Island afterwards, because the answer is honestly really, really exciting. We have been working with a coalition of, those folks in our Closed Rikers Coalition, survivors of Rikers, impacted families, allies, but we also connected with environmental justice advocates who've been looking at the effects of environmental racism in the city over the course of many years. And the consensus that we came to was that one of the most beneficial ways to use Rikers Island after the jails are closed would be to use it as a site of green infrastructure and sustainability uses for the entire city, but also specifically to enable the closure of polluting infrastructure that is burdening the same neighborhoods that have been the targets of mass incarceration. So this plan, the Renewable Rikers Plan, actually got approved, was supported by a city council law in 2021 that is going to require that this land, once the jails are closed, is public for public uses, cannot be privately owned or operated, and is for sustainability purposes. So it is not, it won't be possible for people to do something like luxury development there. It's also not really an attractive site for doing something like luxury development for the same reasons that it's not an appropriate place to house people now. It's the island itself, most of it is built on decomposing trash. So Rikers Island started off as less than 100 acres. It's more than 400 acres now, and the way they expanded it was through landfill and trucking garbage out there and sort of expanding the island. And it's also really isolated. There's only one bridge on and off Rikers Island, and it's very difficult to get to, certainly for the family members that are trying to visit folks incarcerated, but also for people that want to volunteer, provide programs or services inside the jails, for lawyers that are visiting their clients. So something like wastewater treatment facilities, renewable energy battery storage, solar panels, those don't need to be located in our communities. Those are a good use, for an island that is not well connected to the rest of the city. We can go to the next slide. So just talking about the next steps to implement this. So investments in community well-being are going to be key. And Edwin was talking about this certainly with the connection to mental health. So when you have a situation where, over 1,400 people in the New York City jail system right now have been diagnosed with a serious mental illness, and there's probably more people within the system that haven't been diagnosed, but that's just the number of people with a diagnosis. They are not getting the care they need on Rikers Island. And if they were getting any care in their community, that care is interrupted when they go to Rikers Island. So it's not only not making people better, it is creating worse mental health conditions for people. And it's no secret that the safest communities are the ones with the most resources, not the most incarceration. So we know how to do this both as a city. You can look around and see, neighborhoods that have plenty of resources. People are able to access mental health care when they need it. Young people have opportunities. People have economic opportunities. Those are the neighborhoods with very low incarceration rates. There's no reason that those opportunities, those investments in community well-being should not be the reality across our city. And that is really what we are pushing for. And we're talking about being able to reallocate over $1 billion every year that has been used to strip people away from their communities and to further harm people, instead to build people up and therefore, build up our communities, reinvest in the communities that, as we started off the presentation, Edwin talked about the 7 neighborhoods, the same neighborhoods that have been funneled into New York State's jails and prisons for decades, to finally make those mass investments in communities to end mass incarceration. that's on the sort of budget side, and we do a lot of advocacy around the city budget. So we could, if people are curious, get into details about some of the wins we've had so far and some of the things we're still fighting for. But there does need to be a court component of this as well, sort of both having the resources in the community and then making sure that the courts are structured in a way that people can get those opportunities. So we're working on bills at the state level with other partners that would expand access to treatment courts and also to diversion for young adults. As I mentioned, with the construction of the borough jails, we need to expedite that construction and focus on designs that center human dignity, provide for the services that people need. And we need accountability and transformation within the Department of Correction. Like that absolutely is an essential part to go along with shrinking the number of people in jail and creating better physical conditions for people. And that is going to be a multi-step process. Every step of that process will be easier when people are no longer isolated on an island that is out of sight, out of mind, and has been really immune, has helped to build a culture of impunity because it's so isolated. So we can go to the next slide. So this was, I think, from a previous presentation we did, but just to draw on some of the questions. These are, we're interested to hear what questions people still have about this plan. We're also really interested to hear from you. What are the investments that you see are needed to reduce incarceration in your community? What are the investments that money that has been used for mass incarceration? How do you want to see that reinvested to address the root causes of crime? We know that there's some similarities across the city, but there's also some things that are really specific to neighborhoods. So we really want to hear folks' insights on that. And we can go to the next slide. And this is just some more information about Freedom Agenda. So I think we'll maybe pull that back up before we close, but we can, if there's still time for some more questions, maybe we can pause for that.
Okay, we're going to pause for some questions. I mean, I know the panel got a lot of questions. I'm only going to ask one since I'm Elder M, and then I'm going to turn it over to the panel. Who will have oversight of the new community jails?
That's a great question. So by law, it will be the Board of Correction, which is the oversight body for the Department of Correction. DOC will be responsible for operating and managing the jails, but along with correctional health services. So they run the healthcare within the jail system. But it's the Board of Correction has responsibility for oversight. That's through the city charter. They have a good mission and they have some good people, but they need a lot more capacity. They need a lot more authority. And so we actually have been working on, some of you might have been involved in this too. The city council initiated a charter revision commission to look at what are ways that the city charter could be strengthened to better, the focus was strengthening local democracy. And so for us, oversight is certainly part of that. And so we made suggestions about how to strengthen the Board of Correction through that process. So I guess two-part answer. It will be the Board of Correction, and we want to see that Board of Correction strengthened with more capacity, more authority to really fulfill their mandate to ensure human rights are protected in the city jails.
Okay. Next. Okay, someone else. I want to open up to the floor. Okay, Dr. Bardet, you could do the first question, but this is going to be a popping situation, so I'm going to have to restrict your questions. Go ahead.
Good enough. Now, this is a piggyback on what you're saying. My concern is, you say it's the Board of Correction. Who makes up the Board of Correction? Who selects those people? Are there people on there like you all, especially like you, Santana? We need to know who that is made up, because if it's made up of the 1%ers who are running all the monies and controlling everything, it's a moot point.
Yeah, that's a really good, that you're speaking to part of what we're trying to address within the charter changes that we want. So right now, it's 9 members, 3 are appointed by the city council, and basically 6 are appointed by the mayor. It is 3 directly appointed by the mayor, and then 3 that are nominated by the judiciary and then confirmed by the mayor. We want to see that shifted so that the mayor nominates no more than 3, and then there's other city leaders, elected leaders like the public advocate, the comptroller, borough presidents that rotate into those nominations. because we don't think that an oversight body should be primarily nominated by the administration. It just doesn't, like oversight is supposed to have oversight over the administration. That doesn't compute. So we do want to see that shifted somewhat to have more independence. Right now, there's one person on the Board of Correction who has been incarcerated at Rikers. Her name is Helen Skipper. She's an amazing advocate, but we definitely need more. So
yeah,
okay,
okay. Yeah, so just to answer your question, like, yeah, definitely. I mean, we have one, so I know Helen, and they do some excellent work in the community. So we need everybody to like kind of support that. If you want more people like myself to be on this board, to move up, we have to continue supporting each other.
And we do. We want more of you. Can we give Edwin a hand clap? We want more of you.
Thank you.
Okay, Monty has been very quiet. Monty, come in. You got some questions before I turn it over to the real mouths. Go ahead, Monty.
Well, God bless everybody. I just wanted to ask one question, because they said, when you they're trying to put different facilities in different boroughs, but how does that really help the community when you put facilities in different boroughs? Because you can't say it's going to protect the people, because they re-gentrifying all the boroughs. So how does that help the community?
Great question, right? Great question. And I don't think it has anything to do with harming the community itself as well, right? So these borough jails are going to be created with human beings in mind, right? So right now, Rikers doesn't have human beings in mind. Rikers just want people to go in and come back out. So how you go back in is how you come back out. So these facilities, we're trying to make it where if you need any type of services, do you need to reach out to a religious person to help with your faith, or somebody needs homeless services or unemployment. We're making sure that these people have that, because that's how it's going to affect the community, right? If we don't have the people like yourselves and people like us working in these jails, they're going to continue being a revolving door when it comes to just like Rikers is, right? So that's my answer to you. My answer is like, it's going to help the community out by, number one, it's going to help develop people coming back out, right? So that's going to be free.
Ed, I don't think you, Ed, I need to come in. I don't think you quite understood his question. And I'm going to go back to it. Monty, you want to say it again? Because I don't think you.
I want to say this, though, because I heard them say about, because you got different people on the panel. You got religious people on the panel. And I'm an evangelist, right? So a lot of times when you go visit the jails and you want to have a true topic and a true discussion, there's certain things you can't even talk to the prisoners about, because there's restrictions. So how could you call on the religious people to come help and try to transform a person's mind when there's restrictions that we can't even tell the person that's incarcerated how to change their lives?
I got you. I understand what your question is now, right? So when I was in prison, I had the same issues, right? I had the same issues. Like, of course, when you talk with any religious figure, they have restrictions. And that has nothing to do with us advocates or even the plan to close Rikers. That has everything to do with the Department of Corrections, right? That's the oversight body. That's, of course, care, custody, and control, right? So, we want to open that dialogue with the Department of Corrections so we can make things better when it comes to those restrictions. But we on that right there, I can't really speak on that topic or give you an answer for that, because of the fact that I don't work with the Department of Corrections. I'm just an advocate that's trying to make things better.
Let me just say something to you, though. That's the point. That's why they were saying we need more people such as you, right? Because you was incarcerated, so you had someone to tell you something to change your life, right? But what happens a lot of times is a smoke screen, and there's an old saying: leopards don't change their spots. So at the end of the day, what happens is a smoke screen. So if we don't understand and we're not there in the facility with the people that's trying to change and really trying to change, right? Because a lot of times it'll look like one way and then become something else. There's always a smoke screen. And then you got to know the history of what this is about.
Right. And I agree with you. So this is why I tell people all the time, even I'm not just telling you, but I'm telling people in the community as well when I go talk with them. We need your help. We need you. So we can only do we can only do what we can do, right? So if there is a restriction on what you have to say to individuals about the truth or whatever case may be, there's still some things that you can say to change people's lives. If that was the case, then my life would have been totally different. I would have never been affected by anybody I spoke to while I was in prison. Correct? Isn't that right? Because even though they had restrictions, there were things they could tell me, they could help me with, and they did. But we need more people like that to help more of us, because my mental health is not as bad as anyone as the next person is, and we need to always keep that in mind.
Okay, got to go to the next question. Who wants to be the next person to pose a question? Is it you, Dr. Payne?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I wanted to pose.
Okay, let Minister Patton go. Mr. Patton, you go, and then we'll go to Dr. Payne.
Okay, one quick question. I'm still concerned about the unions, because who are these people that are going to come in? We have a union. And the reason I say this is because I had a lot of fights with the union because I was an administrator. So when I wanted to get rid of teachers and get rid of staffs that worked not for the children, I had to fight because of the union rules that were set up. So when these prisoners are now going to these other places, who are going to be these people that are the security guards or the parole officer? It's still dealing with a union that has a fixed mind of how these people are, how they see Black and brown people.
So to answer that, the only union that I know of is the COBA union, right, which is actually not really a union, but they function as a union. It's an association, the Corrections Office of Benevolence Association. Now, once again, they're part of DOC, and they are not working with us, right? So I understand your concern. That's something that we've been trying to work around, because if we want to establish these jails to be humanitarianism, right? We want to make sure that the individuals that go in come out, have the right resources. If they account for their actions and they found guilty, we want to make sure they go upstate with the right correct services so they can come back into our communities healed, right? So that's a real good question, and there's no real answer to it, because there's nothing we can do about the conversations we have with COBA and other unions that may be a part of the Department of Corrections.
I want to add one quick thing to that, if it's okay, Edwin.
Just one question.
That union contract is approved by the city, and it will be renegotiated probably again in 2026. So I want to say, I completely agree with you, Minister Patton, that you cannot have union rules that are counterproductive to providing the care and support that people need. Like, that is the role that is what should be provided. Basic minimum services, care, and to people that are inside. And if you have union rules that are a barrier to that, those need to be changed. That is a negotiation that the city.
Okay, I'm going to go to Dr. Payne
every couple of years. So it's a good thing for all. Like Edwin's saying, we need everyone's eye. There's so many aspects of this, and like everyone's eyes and ears pushing and together. So the city, the mayor really has an important role in that. The mayor should be the next should be committed to addressing any of those rules that are a barrier.
I'm going to go to Dr. Payne, but before I go, her concern is this as well, is if you just put the same people in a new building, you're going to get the same results.
Thank you.
But now, you're going to get the same results. That's the bottom line. We're just making a new building, but we're putting dirty laundry in the new building, and you still got it. You got to go. I won't go no farther. Okay, Dr. Payne, you come in.
Everything sounds good. Okay, let's say we're going forward. But sometimes they have a tendency of changing right in the middle of everything. After we say, if this is how it's going to be, everything is good, and all of a sudden, next thing, you don't have the funding. You're not doing what you say you're going to do. Who do we have back there to make sure that everything is going to go as is planned? Yeah. Because don't forget, a lot of times we plan different things, and all of a sudden, when it's get put forth, it changes. Yes, and then we want to get hurt and get the short end of the stick. How do you make sure this is going to go forth and be as you say it's going to be?
Yeah, me. I'm gonna make sure that everything moves forward, right? Even though I don't have the power, but I have people power. right? And I have I tell this is another thing I tell individuals in the community as well. Just because we close Rikers Island, just because we have this plan that says close Rikers and do better, right? Doesn't mean that's the show. That's the end of the show. That's it. It's over. Cut. Let's go home. No, we have to maintain and continue making sure that our voices are heard when it comes to budget season, when it comes to trying to allocate money to places that have reentry centers, places that are providing reentry services, and all of that things, because we got to make sure that when we go up to when we testify at these hearings, we got to make sure that we want to allocate that money and invest in something that's going to be real and not something that's going to be like the old stuff. So I think
we got Valerie Ferguson on the line. Valerie Ferguson, come in with your voice. I'm trying to get them all in.
All right, I apologize for being late. It took me a minute to get in, but I'm on fire right now because first of all, my thought is, who sat at the round table and believed that closing Rikers Island will be the best idea? We talk about vicious criminals. I can't figure that out, but we're gonna move past that. Now, I'm an evangelist. I'm in the street. I walk the street all the time, and I see they building the community and they building up the buildings and they making changes, but they're not changing the mindset of the people. So if you got the same mindset, just like Elder Montgomery said, if you taking the same trash and putting it in another garbage bag, it still stinks.
Right.
It's still trash.
Right.
So listen, I'm saying this: the worst thing that you can do is close Rikers Island.
Right. So
that's the worst thing you could do.
Right. Okay. And I thank you for that. But a few things that I want to say that I'm just gonna pick on what you said. All right. Number one, everybody on Rikers Island isn't trash. That's number one. Right.
Do not put that word in my mouth.
Okay.
Do not put that word in my mouth.
I apologize if I heard wrong. Right, but everybody that's on Rikers Island are human beings, and everybody needs to afford it. And like I said earlier, 85% of individuals who are on Rikers Island are just fighting a case. Right, no matter what the news says, no matter what you see on TV, and I'm going to say this again, like I said earlier. Right, everything is interdimensional. Right, so homelessness, unemployment, mental health, mass incarceration, all that stuff goes hand in hand. Right, Rikers Island has been the mayor in the city has been throwing money at Rikers Island for as long as I remember, since it's been in existence since 1933, right? And it doesn't work. So by changing the aspect and changing the trajectory, right? First of all, there's a couple of things that's going to happen that's going to be helpful when we get these borough jails into the community. And number one is going to be courts, right? It's going to be they're going to be located right in front of the court. So the aspect of trying to usher a busload of individuals who need to go see a judge today is going to be shortened, because it's going to be really quickly, right? They're going to go into this. So now the concept of having people warehoused on Rikers Island, warehoused in these jails, are going to be out the window, because they're going to be ushered into court fast. So that way the judge and lawyer and the DA can have their day in court and do what they need to do, whether they find them innocent and send them home, or find them guilty and send them upstate, so they can continue their bid. So that's number one. And number two, they're going to be in the community, whereas we're going to be actually be aware of things that's going on to defend their rights. Some right now, I don't know if you heard, but over 40 people already have passed away under Mayor Adams' tenure, his administration. And we need to lower that. We need transparency when it comes to medical, right? We need transparency when it comes to visiting. We need transparency when it comes to corrections officers, right? And like I said earlier, it's hard when it comes to care, custody, and control, because everybody want to feel safe, and I understand that. I very much understand that.
But let me come in and let me say something. Look, what is those statistics? How many blacks are on Rikers Island? That's why this is a black problem. How many blacks are on Rikers? I think, what are those statistics? And then did I see, is it 2% Asian? How many? 3%? Well, come on now.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
So the disparities are clear. So the disparities are clear. We have black 58%, other 32%, white 8%, Asian 2%, right? And that's not by accident. This is by design. I think the brother was alluded to something like that earlier. This is by design. So the plan to close Rikers, is it something new? Yes. Is it something crazy and like, you know, it's something that's gonna shake up the New York City? Yes, it is, right? Is it going to be helpful? I 100% agree it's going to be helpful, because if we focus on the individuals who really need it the most, because we can say we have mental health issues in our community, but nobody's pinpointing where the mental health issues are coming from.
Because that should have been done. That should have been done. That should have been done. And this is what I'm saying. Let me clear myself up.
Yes,
when I said the changing of the trash, I'm not talking about the criminals. I'm not talking about them, because they could only do what those that's in authority allow. The correction office from the warden on down to it's trash.
Absolutely.
It's trash. That's who need to be gotten rid of.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the criminals. Right. They need to get rid of them. And you keep putting more and more in, and they all have the same mentality. Like I said, they go to work. They don't have compassion for nobody. They go to work. They doing overtime, making thousands and thousands of dollars. Come out, go on vacation, and come back in with the same attitude, not trying to help nobody.
I just want to add something really quickly, which is that exact union that you're talking about, that union has been very opposed to closing Rikers Island, because they know it will bring more accountability, more oversight when they don't have a 400-acre island hidden from public view to do their operations. Right. They know the borough jails will put a spotlight on them, and that's why they have not supported this plan. So I think there will be an impact on accountability. There's still going to be a lot more work for us to do, but bringing it out of the shadows into public view is going to be a piece.
And I knew this conversation was going to. I knew this conversation was going to be a hot conversation. I knew this conversation was going to be a hot conversation, and I'm asking everybody to have tough skin. I want you to have tough skin, because this is what we get in the streets. This is the root. These are the hard questions. Because guess what? We don't want our kids to be going to school and passing by saying, "Well, what is that?" That's a jail. That doesn't give them no inspiration to move up and get ahead. So we got to get to the real deal. You know, we understand that something needs to be done with Rikers. We understand that the movement has taken place and we can't do anything about it. But we're here to support the neighborhoods and our kids. But now I want to go to somebody else who has another question, because this is WarCry and things do get hot in the war. Who wants to have another question?
Before we do that, I want to comment real quick on what you said. So I want to make sure to say that, you know, these borough jails are going to be here. Like you said, it's already in progress, and we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable in the community. That's why I think that Sarita had mentioned earlier about how the way it looks. The buildings are going to look a certain way, but don't get it twisted. These jails, just like that's the jail for the future, but that's the island. But these jails are going to be look different. But they're also going to be heavily surveillanced. If you go to any of the courthouses right now, right, go to the Bronx one and 161st, they have about 200 cameras out there. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be heavily surveilled, just like anywhere else. So I want to just bring that up there.
Can I say something right quick?
Val, I got to hold yours for 1 minute, then I'll bring you in. I got to see if Dr. Gorday, he got something. I'll bring you in before we go. Believe me, you my girly girl. You will come in. Go ahead.
Okay.
Dr. Gorday.
One thing that I think Elder Valerie didn't get to, because she came in a little late, is the fact that we need to have representation on those boards and other places we go. And those representations need to be elected by the people, and some of them should be even elected by the people who are incarcerated. Yeah. So they can come back and they have a clear board. Now that's the issue. And I hear you, Elder Valerie, and that's that was Evangelist Ferguson. I'm sorry, Ferguson. All right, because I see that I'm just looking on the line there. But okay, the issue is, sir, please, you got to I'll do anything that I can to make sure that people on the community boards are looking for people who are in the local nonprofits are working, and that the people who are incarcerated and their families are that. I'm with Fathers and Son Coalition International. We're trying to get all fathers to come in, raise their children, and make sure that even going into the jails, that the fathers go into the jails as well to work with their sons and the correction officers. The correction officers are traumatized.
They are.
I'm a psychotherapist. I'm a licensed clinical psychotherapist. I'm working with 5 traumatized correction officers right now as we speak. Some of them even want to get out, and they can't even get out because they are all and some of them are alcoholic. Some of the, you're dealing with two types of people.
That's what's going on.
Yeah.
See?
So I want to mention 2 things really quickly. I'm sorry. I want to mention 2 things. Number one, we are fighting. I want to make it clear that the plan to close Rikers and our advocacy work is also for fighting for better overall work
vesting.
Right, for people who work there. We want to make sure that they're safe as well. So we're not just saying the individuals who have to be housed there, right? We want to make sure that all the staff members are safe when it comes to service providers as well as the COs. We want to make sure that that is said. And number 2, we consider ourselves abolitionists as well, right? And sometimes, but we believe that in abolition, sometimes you have to make a means to an end, right? So our end purpose is that we want to end mass incarceration throughout every state and every city, right? But we know that's difficult. We know that's hard. So when we came to the table, and this goes back to that question someone asked earlier about, how did this come about? We came about because we got fed up. Individuals who are like myself, who survived Rikers, our family members who lost family members there, and friends, we all got tired of it, and we said we're going to stand up and we're going to make sure we take over this narrative. So there's a lot of places and a lot of organizations, not just ourselves, who are trying to change the narrative of this, right? That's trying to change to address these disparities that we just saw, right? These percentages. We want to make sure that we address them, and we bring everybody awareness to them. So we are abolitionists, but we understand we need to do one step to accomplish another step.
Okay, Ed, let me ask you a question. You have a movie. Did you tell me you put out a film concerning Rikers? Could you first tell us about how we could look at that? Secondly, can you tell us how we can help support? Third, can you tell us if we have more questions, how we can get our questions answered?
Sure. Sarita can answer like how he can get involved with Freedom Agenda in a second, but I wanted how you can see the movie. Yeah, I have a movie called Closing the Last Penal Colony. It's called Closing the Last Penal Colony because that's what Rikers Island is. It consists of 10 buildings that is a penal colony. The last penal colony before this one is still in existence, but it's not functional, when it's Alcatraz. Alcatraz is used as a tourist attraction. We don't want Rikers to be used as a tourist attraction. We want the buildings to actually come down. So that's number 1. So this movie cannot be seen anywhere unless I screen it, because I'm using it as an educational tool for the community. In the film, you're going to learn an in-depth history of where Rikers came from, 1933, and before even the buildings became, even before the buildings was worked on, like what Sarita had mentioned about the land and how is it toxic. And I go into why is it toxic? Where did this all come from? And we also talk about like there are certain different type of movements that happened to close Rikers Island that never had the capacity, they didn't have the trajectory, and now we do. We have this new movement that we're part of, and the movie highlights that as well through the voices of people like myself who have been affected by Rikers. So you can't see it anywhere. However, you can see the trailer on my YouTube page, which is called Tough Art Media, TUFFARTMEDIA, Tough Art Media. You can follow me on any platform. Just Google Tough Art Media. If you want to set up a screening online, or you have a place that you want me to go to, I go to churches, I go to community centers, I go to schools, colleges, anywhere in the community. I'll go to your house if you want me to screen this film, because I think it's important for individuals who, like myself, who lived and survived Rikers, to know more about it, and to also for people who don't know nothing about Rikers Island, because you'll be surprised how many people say, I never know there was a jail in our city. So and that's how you can get involved with the film. I also won 2 awards, one in 2024 from the Catch Your Latinx Film Festival, and one this summer at the Roosevelt Island Film Festival. So it's being noticed. A lot of people is taking getting in. Yes. So is it
All right,
Tough Art
awesome.
Media? No, not the 662, just Tough Art Media. Just Tough Art Media, and you see the thing. All right.
How can we do to support you? Okay, go ahead.
I'll jump in real quick on that. You can, if you use social media, you can follow us. We're at Freedom Agenda NY. That's at Freedom Agenda NY on Instagram, Facebook. So you can see what we have coming up when we have events. You can sign. I know that all of you are members of congregations and leaders within those. You can sign your congregation onto our campaign as a partner. That's you can check out our website, closerikers.com. Super easy, closerikers.com. You'll see on there a list of our partners, includes a lot of faith organizations already, and you can join that list by just clicking on our sign-on form. And we to piggyback on what Edwin said about, offering to screen his film and have a discussion. We are always open to come out to your congregation, have this conversation where we can share about what the plan to close Rikers is and all the opportunities to shape this plan going forward. We want to hear from people about what are those investments that we want to be fighting for together so that we can get that money back in our communities. And we are working on collecting 1,000 postcards to deliver to the mayor-elect so that when that person takes office in January, they know that this has to be a priority for them. So we'd be happy to come, speak to your group and maybe see if they'd like to join us by filling out some postcards.
Okay, my last question is before we go, and we've got to basically because this is 12:10. We've been on here with an hour with this conversation, so I'm going to leave this question to you before we get ready to go off the air. Everybody on here knows that Staten Island did not get a jail. we realized that Staten Island didn't get a jail. That the Bronx got a jail. Queens got a jail.
Yeah.
Come on here.
Yeah.
So let me touch on that really quickly. So as you, I'm guessing from your question, you already know the answer.
Yes.
So in order, you already know the answer. There was a lot of pushback, but in order for us to accomplish the closing Rikers, the plan to close Rikers to be approved, we had to do it. We had to do it like this. So it was too much pushback.
So Ed, you're telling me we had to compromise. That's what you're saying.
Right. We had to compromise somehow, some way, and compromising ain't always bad. You understand what I'm saying? And it's still going to be a means to an end. We're still going to close Rikers. I'm talking about the buildings are still going to come down, and we're still going to be reducing the population and killing mass incarceration off here in the city. So those are
and
still
you know what? And let me tell you, brother, I love you. Peace out. But we have a black population in Staten Island too. And those people are going to be displaced. They're going to have to travel too. Their kids are going to be, some of them going to be in the Bronx, some are going to be in Brooklyn, some of them going to be in Queens, some are going to be in Manhattan. They're going to be dispersed. And the whole plan of Rikers is to bring community together. So we know that they're still not bringing community together. But this is WarCry. We want to tell you we had a great show. Everybody's fired up. Remember, we'll be back on here next week at 11 a.m. next Monday. And guess what? We're going to have them back on because the conversation don't stop. The conversation don't stop. It continues. This is WarCry. I'll see you next week at 11 a.m. Let's go to the next video. And we're out.
Yeah, we're going to meet again, Elder, right after this, remember?
Okay. We're out. Next video. Let's go.
This is very personal to me. We will close Rikers down, and I'm not saying any of it, but if it takes me continuing to rise to make sure we shut it down, that's what I'm going to do. If this mayor doesn't do it, we're going to make sure the next mayor does it. Like, we just need to keep getting our people elected so that we're not having this nonsensical conversation about 18 people dying and that we're going to allow for facilities to stay open because you can't win a narrative with the media about crime. So you want to keep people in there and let them die. Let them die for your narrative because we got elections coming up. It's all BS. And I don't have all the answers, but I know closing Rikers is definitely one of them.
This is shocking to me. And I hope that every New Yorker that passed by here, I hope it shocks you too. Because these are not body bags. These are human beings that have passed away.
People ask me, oh, why do people commit suicide in Rikers Island? Why do they commit suicide in jail? Because it's absolute torture.
My agenda will always be Brandon Rodriguez's mom. He was on Rikers for 6 days, and now he's gone forever. 34 moms are now in the same amount of pain that I am in.
On Rikers Island, it's a death sentence. It's intended for pretrial detainees, but it's a goddamn death sentence. It is wrong. And we must close Rikers Island immediately.
We are going to shut down Rikers Island. Shut it down! 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 Shut it down!
This is WarCry. WarCry for our children, where the street meets the sanctuary and purpose meets power. Join me, Elder M, intercessor, street evangelist, prayer warrior, advocator for justice. We stand in the gap in the streets, in the courtyards, in the schoolyards, in the church, and on the block. This ain't just prayer. It's intercession. It's advocacy. We deal with real problems. Criminal justice, social justice, gun violence, social media, catfishing, human trafficking, mental illness, education disparities. We deal with it all here on WarCry. Our community has a voice. It's called WarCry. Each week, we link arms with community leaders, educators, pastors, parents calling out injustice. This is WarCry. This is not just a podcast. It's more than a moment. This is a movement. Join us. Let's give a voice to the problem and be the solution.
I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going.
WarCry. We're going to speak out for our children. Let freedom ring? No. There cannot be freedom until there's justice. WarCry, join us Mondays, 11 a.m. I'm just about to lose my mind. This is WarCry. They're trying to turn time back. But let us get out and give a voice to the problem. This is WarCry. Join us, be with us, or be gone. Don't push us. This is WarCry.
Trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
We're not going under. This is WarCry.